Hello everyone and welcome back to YouTube channel Duval Mafia here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Cisco, the safety out of Syracuse, and this is going to be part 5 of my rookie evaluation. So to start this off, his stats for the year: he played in all 17 games, but most of these games were only on special teams, but he did start in 3 games, which was the 3 final games of the year: week 16, week 17, and week 18, and this was due to because Rayshawn Jenkins got hurt. But this is taking nothing away from Cisco, as he did get 90% of snaps in week 17 and 100% of defensive snaps in week 18. So this shows that he was stepping up and he was ready for the role. And I will preface this before I get deeper into this, that Cisco is still only 21 years old. Like, as I'm making this video, he's still only 21 years old, meaning he played this entire rookie season at the age of 21, which is extremely young for the NFL. He doesn't turn 22 until March 23rd, and his stats for the season through 17 games with 3 starts went as 26 combined tackles, 19 solo tackles, 2 passes defensed, and 2 forced fumbles. Now, I know these aren't eye-popping stats, but people have to understand that he only played like a decent amount of defensive snaps in, I believe, 5 or 6 games. I believe it was 6 games. So, majority of his snaps were being used on special teams, which I don't hate, because, like I said, he was extremely young this year, at still 21 years old. I mean, that's a very young age, especially for a secondary player. Secondary players, people have to realize that learning the secondary is a very hard thing to do. Being a defensive back is probably one of the hardest positions in football, in all honesty. Now, it might not be one of the most valuable, but it is easily one of the hardest, and it is probably the most difficult job in the NFL, aside from maybe quarterback, to be a defensive back and to be locked down in that role. So I will start by saying that, and Cisco actually gave us decent value as a special teamer, because he did, I did see a few times throughout the year that he made a key tackle and a key hard hit on special teams. So I will give him credit for this. And he also had 2 forced fumbles, which is huge. I mean, considering he had very limited playing time, to have 2 forced fumbles on the year shows that he was having an impact with those hits. Because at Syracuse, he was known for 1, getting interceptions, and 2, causing forced fumbles. He was a turnover machine at Syracuse. And that's mainly the reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars did draft him, because he is one of those safeties who, even though right now he's extremely raw, he has a very, very high ceiling. And he played, honestly, in my opinion, in the final 2 weeks where we really saw him play majority of the defensive snaps, he played actually pretty well. Now, did he have a couple blown coverages? Yes, of course. But like I said, that's going to come with his age and come with experience. It's going to be a very long time until he's considered a veteran, and he's going to be one of those leaders in secondary. But I do genuinely believe Cisco has that type of ceiling. It might not be next season even. It might be his 3rd or even 4th season, in all honesty with you, because he did get drafted extremely, extremely young. Like, he was just turning 21 when we drafted him. So this, honestly, I'm not too mad that he didn't get a ton of playing time this year. Maybe I would have liked to see him get a little bit more towards the end of the year, because, like, we were out of the race and we were not tanking, I don't want to say, but we weren't winning a lot of games. But I will say he did play 28 or more defensive snaps for the final 4 weeks of the year. Now, again, as I said, Rayshawn Jenkins did get hurt, so this did play a role. But I also liked to see him get these snaps, get these reps on the defensive side of the ball, to where, because in all honesty, that's the only way he's really going to grow as a player. If he's not getting the defensive reps, he's not going to grow as a player. And I actually like what Cisco brings to this defense as a ball hawk type of safety. Now, even though he didn't have any interceptions on this year, there were a few occasions where I did see him in position to maybe make a play on the ball, and even though he didn't come down with the interception, he was close. So in a year or two, when he starts getting a little bit more comfortable, and a little bit more comfortable specifically in the scheme, you could see these passes defensed or these close plays turn into interceptions and turn into turnovers that Cisco does produce for this team. And he also had 26 tackles and only 3 starts. Now, I do understand that some of these tackles did come on special teams, but still, in his final 3 starts of the year, he had 4 combined tackles in week 18, 6 combined tackles in week 17, and he had 5 combined tackles in week 16. And actually, both of his passes defense came in week 16 and week 17. So he had 1 in each week. And then his forced fumbles, They came one in week 18 and one in week 14. And his forced fumble in week 14 against Tennessee actually became on special teams. So I will not really count that one towards his defensive side. But again, it's still him creating a forced fumble and creating a play. Even though it was on special teams, it was still us getting value out of this pick. Just because he wasn't making the plays on defense early on doesn't mean that we weren't getting value and he wasn't playing valuable snaps. Because special teams is a very key part in the NFL. People need to understand it's still a whole other facet of football. There's offense and their defense, and then there's special teams. Special teams can win you or lose you a game depending on how well or how badly they play. So having Andre Cisco on the special team side of the ball for the entirety of the year was actually extremely valuable for us. And I expect to see him play roles on special teams as well as the defense for the next few years with the Jaguars, and hopefully long into the future, hopefully he gets re-signed and hopefully he works out. But going into his sophomore season, I am excited to see him grow a lot as a player because I think he could take a decent jump this year. But I think the biggest jump for him is probably going to be year 2 to year 3, in my honest opinion. I think that's once he gets these reps in year 2, starts getting defensive reps. Now, this is taking nothing away from him. I think he'll be solid in year 2 for us in next season in 2022. But I still think he's going to be a little bit raw, and he's still going to be a little bit with those rookie mistakes, kind of, because he did indeed only start 3 games. So he's still going to be extremely raw from that, simply a snaps standpoint. Because a lot of the rookies, like, for example, Tyson Campbell's a great example of this. Early on, he got a lot of reps, and he wasn't looking too good. But the more reps that he got, the more he improved. This is what it really takes for these rookies and these young guys. They just simply need the in-game reps to get comfortable and to learn how to improve themselves. So for a grade for the overall season for Cisco, it's kind of hard to grade this, as I said, because he did mainly play special teams. But if I'm grading the pick, I will give him a B-. I think that's fair because I think he could have had more of a B, even B+, if he played a little bit more on the defensive side of the football. But I gave him a B- because people are really underestimating the value that he did give us on special teams. And he also looked pretty good in those final 2 games where he played majority of the defensive snaps. Like, even though in Week 17 our defense did get absolutely destroyed by the New England Patriots, I'm not really putting that on Cisco because obviously he was still young. He's still young at this point, and it was a whole as a defense that fell apart. I'm not going to put it on one player. And did he miscue a few plays? Yes, he did. But again, I'm not going to put that on one singular player. And in Week 18, and where we beat the Colts, I mean, he actually looked pretty damn good, in my honest opinion. Like, he made a couple good tackles, and he even had that forced fumble. I mean, he looked like he was getting a lot more comfortable even after a couple games. So this is something that I'm excited to see with Andre Cisco going forward. And with that being said, I am going to wrap up this video. So overall, his rating was a B-. Now, you could go a little bit higher with this rating, but I think a B- is very fair for what he produced this year, and I'm excited to see what he does in year 2. So make sure to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy, and make sure to subscribe if you're new, and as always, peace out, Duval.